So hey everyone, I'm Arshika from Grosquare, and today we are going to start with the journey of CELPIP, and I'll be your learning buddy throughout this journey. Right, so first of all, let's understand the full form of this. So this is Canadian English Language Proficiency Index Program, right? So why we are giving this test? Because we have to test our proficiency of English language, which is going to be used later on for the PR programs in Canada. Now let's understand about it in little bit detail. So what we are seeing over here is that the CELPIP, that means Canadian English Language Proficiency Index Program, is an English proficiency test designed to assess the English skills of individuals, right? But the thing is that why do we need to assess the English skills of individuals? Because it is for the ones who are looking to migrate to Canada or who need to meet certain English language requirements for immigration, for citizenship, or for any kind of professional certification, right? Let's move ahead. This is what I already told you, that it is used for PR purposes, right? So what are the types of tests, CELPIP? So this is also divided into two parts, right? There are two types of tests that we are having. First one is CELPIP General, right? So CELPIP General is basically used for immigration and citizenship purposes, and it assesses general English proficiency. The duration of the test is 3 hours, and the fee that you have to pay over there is $280 plus taxes would be there, right? Now what about the second type? So this is CELPIP General LS. As the name illustrates, LS means listening and speaking only. So it focuses on listening and speaking skills only. It is typically used for Canadian citizenship applications. Since they are going to judge, they are going to assess only 2 of your modules over here. So fee is little bit less comparatively, and time duration as well. Fee would be $195 plus taxes, and duration of test is 1 hour 10 minutes, right? Let's move ahead. So now let's discuss the test format. See, CELPIP tests are taken on computer, right? So these are not pen and paper kind of tests. So these are completely based on computers. That includes some speaking component as well, which is recorded and assessed by raters. Now some students might feel very much comfortable that yes, they have to speak in front of the computer and they don't have to go for the face-to-face speaking part, due to which their confidence level would be higher, right? But while on the other hand, some might be like, it is difficult for us to speak in front of the computer and all, right? So don't worry, it's comfortable. If I would say, as for our experience, the test is very, very comfortable. If you would prepare diligently for it, you're definitely going to score very well, right? So let's move ahead. So here we are going to discuss about the scoring part, that how the CELPIP test is scored basically. So the CELPIP test basically uses a 12-point scale, unless IELTS is using a band score system, right? But here what we use 12-point scale, where scores reflect different levels of English proficiency from basic to advanced, right? Scores are available within 8 business days. That means for how many days do we need to wait for the result? Within 8 business days your results would be revealed, right? Let's move ahead towards the next part now. Why to take CELPIP? What is the need that we should be taking CELPIP? So first of all, see, this is used for immigration, citizenship, and professional designations. And nextly, it is computer delivered. That means that can be done in single sitting. So very, very comfortable for the people who are professionals, or they are working, they don't have time, having time issues or something else, right? Second is, it is using single North American accent. That is easy to understand basically for every non-native person, right? As compared to the other tests, it is quite easy, we would say. Understanding the accent is easy. I'm not saying the test is easy. Test is equally important and needs diligent efforts as well. Moreover, there are quick online results. 3 to 4 business days are required at max. Maximum limit is 8 days that is needed to reveal your result, right? Next. So this is test level descriptor, right? So here we have written about the CELPIP level, and here we have the CLB level. So it's basically same. Whatever the CLB is, it's same over here as well, right? You can see, except the minor cases that no one would prefer to go for sure, right? So without any halt, let's start discussing about the modules. So as you know that in generally in the language kind of test, whether it's IELTS, PT or something else, right? What kind of modules are there? We do have 4 modules. So these are reading, listening, writing, and speaking, right? So let's start discussion with the listening part first of all. Right, so in the CELPIP listening we are going to understand what kind of question types would be there, what kind of questions would be there, what kind of time limits would be there, each and everything, right? So let's see. So see, for the listening part, we need to devote 45 to 55 minutes. Now, why I'm saying 47 to 55 minutes, sorry. Right now, why I'm saying that 47 to 55 and why not exact 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 47 or 55 minutes? Because you're having the option to move towards the next part. So that's why we generally say that 47 to 55 minutes. Now, the number of questions that would be there would be 38, like test would be comprising mainly 38 questions, but you would also be having one practice questions at the very beginning, right? Along with this, you would be having some unscored questions as well. So if you are already done with task 2 of any module and you are getting it repeated, so don't get confused. This can be the unscored part over there, right? And no one actually can tell you the right place where you can see the unscored questions. This is completely, we can say, hidden. Only CELPIP knows that where they are going to put the unscored questions for any specific candidate, right? So don't bother it, don't worry about it. Just work on your performance, right? Now let's give a look towards the instructions. So first of all, see, in the CELPIP test, the biggest benefit is that there is no such negative marking. Since there is no negative marking, so you must attempt all the questions without even thinking twice, right? Why? Because if you would be attempting all the questions, even if it is a guess, then it leaves the probability somewhere that yes, you can get marks from there, right? But what if you leave the questions, you leave the space blank, you're not going to get marks for sure, right? So it is very, very important to attempt all the questions. Then repeated questions are unscored items that I already told you, right? And the next part is higher scoring items are part 4, 5 and 6 in the listening type. Basically we are having 6 types in listening. We are having 6 type of questions that I'll be explaining right now, but part 4, 5 and 6 are comparatively much more important than the first 3. I'm not saying first 3 are not important, these are important, but these basically carry less weightage than the parts that are 4, 5 and 6. Now let's discuss about the question types and everything about the parts, right? So from question number 1 to 3, you're basically going to solve MCQs and there is going to be a dialogue. What is the meaning of dialogue, right? So di means 2, that means conversation of 2 persons, and log means speaking, right? So this is going to be basically the conversation between 2 people, and it can be informal or semi-formal. Most of the times it is informal conversation only, right? If we move ahead towards part 4, from 1 to 3, it's same, right? Types would be same, everything is almost same. In part 4, what you have to do is you need to complete sentence completion. Like you would be given a half sentence, you need to fill it up and you need to complete the sentence, right? It would be monologue. Now what do we mean by monologue? Mono means one, that means one person would be speaking in this, and it would be formal and descriptive. What about the first one? It was informal and semi-formal, while the second one is formal and descriptive. Now let's discuss about part 5. This is the most imperative one, I would say, because this is the video part, right? Other parts, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 or any other part, these are audio parts. You have to listen and then you have to solve the questions, but in this part you have to watch a video in order to answer your questions, right? And what kind of questions can be there? So these are sentence completion. Basically 3 speakers would be there in the video, right? And they would be referred to as because of by their appearance, we can say that. I'll be explaining in detail when we will be doing the questions, right? So there would be 3 speakers, right? And formal conversation would be there that can include details and emotions. Now moving to part 6, what it is here is that we need to complete sentence completion, right? So what we have seen basically is that in part 1 to 3 we need to solve MCQs, and from 4, 5 and 6. Basically 4 to 6 is sentence completion, but the difference is between like 4 is audio, 6 is audio, but the 5 is video, and we are having 3 people over there. So in 6 part that we were discussing, we have to complete sentence completion again, and it would be a monologue, formal with high level vocabulary. So yes, this is the part that is going to be most difficult for you, right? You need to work a lot on this because they are going to use a little bit high level of vocabulary, so we need to work on that, right? Now let's see what is the score chart in CELPIP. So see, what you can see over here is that for M to 2, they are going to give you 0 to 6 listening scores. Then for 3, 7 to 12, 4 is 11 to 18, 5 to 7 to 23. Like what I'm saying is basically that let's suppose you got 17 questions correct, then you're going to get 5 CLB level. 6 is 22 to 28, 7 is 27 to 31, 8 is 30 to 33. Now 9th is 33 to 35 and 10th is 35 to 38. Now you might get confused that on 33 here they have written that they are going to give you 8 CELPIP level, but here they are going to give you 9 on 33, and on 35 they are giving 9 and 10 as well. Why is it so? Now let's understand these things in little bit of detail. So what I told you till now is that part 4, 5 and 6 carries much more weightage than part 1, 2, 3, right? So let's suppose most you have scored 35, like 35 of your questions are correct basically, but number one condition is that your maximum questions are correct from part 1 to 3, then you would be getting score 9. But what if you have got correct your maximum questions from part 4, 5 and 6, then you would be getting 10 CLB. Likewise the case over here as well, right? So if you would be attempting, if you would be attempting more questions from 4 to 5, 4, 5, 6, not only attempting, if you would be rightly attempting, right? That means if your answers would be accurate, you would be getting far more higher score than the other part. So you need to focus on that much more, right? Let's move ahead. So this is all about the types of the questions in the listening section, right? So let's understand. As I already told you that the time allotted in this section is 47 to 55 minutes, right? So number one task, what I have written, let me explain a little bit. So here I have written the number of questions, that how many number of questions you are going to get in which section, and this is the component sections, right? So very first you are going to get practice task. There would be only one question of practice task, right? And if we move towards part 1, we are having 6 parts in total, but in part 1 we have to listen to a problem solving part, right? I'll be explaining each type one by one in detail as well, but here I'm just going to give you the quick overview about it, right? So part 1 basically comprises of listening to a problem solving, that would be having 8 questions in total. Second is listening to a daily life conversation, right? So listening to a daily life conversation includes 5 questions. Part 3, listening for information. How many questions would be there? 6. Now what I have told you till now is that from part 1, 2, 3, what we are going to get is these are MCQs that we are going to get and that we need to solve here, right? And now let's see what part 4 is. In this we have to listen to a news item for which we are going to get 5 questions. Then in part 5 we have to listen to discussion. Now what was part 5? It was video, right? If you remember. In part 6 you need to listen to viewpoints and you're going to get 6 questions over here. What you're going to solve over here? Sentence completion, right? So this is what all about the questions is. Let's understand the next part now. So see, now we are going to discuss each and every type of the listening, each and every part of the listening, I would say, in detailed manner. We are going to understand the structure of each and everything, right? So this is part 1 and we are discussing about listening to problem solving. So number 1, what you have to do is problem solving conversation between 2 strangers in public area. So there would be 2 persons, right, at any public area, and they would be discussing about any situation and they would be discussing about problem solving kind of situations, and the whole conversation would be divided into 3 sections, right? And how many questions would be there? So 2 to 3 questions would appear after each section, and response options may be all words or all pictures. That one thing that I already told you, that in this section we are going to get MCQs, right? And the MCQs can be written words or the pictures as well, right? So let's revise it very quickly. What we are going to get over here is, this is going to be the conversation between two strangers, where at any public place it is going to be, and the conversation is going to be divided into three sections. There would be 2 to 3 questions that would appear after each section, and response options can be all words and all pictures, right? Now let's move ahead towards the next part. What is this? Part 2, and this comprises listening to daily life conversation. So what is the structure of this? Let's try to understand. So this is also going to be a dialogue. In part 1 as well, we've got the dialogue, and in part 2 as well, we are going to get the dialogue. Since it is dialogue, time means 2, right? So it is going to be there in between two people about day-to-day activities. So this is what we have as question, daily life conversation. So they would be discussing their day-to-day activity, such as shopping or speaking with a colleague. That is our day-to-day activity, right? And this part has 5 associated questions. Very simple. दो person जो है बात कर रहे होंगे आपस में. 2 persons would be discussing any topic with each other, and on the behalf of that we need to solve some questions. Let's move ahead towards the next part. This is part 3. So in this section, we need to listen for information. And what the structure is going to be is, the dialogue would be there between 2 people, and this part has 6 associated questions. Right? It's very simple. We are listening for information. There would be conversation between 2 people. We would be listening, and we would be just marking or marking the information in our MCQs, right? Now next part. This is our part 4, that is listening to a news item. So as the name refers, what is news item? That means in the structure we need to listen to a local news story that would be told in very simple words, right? And how many questions we would have after this? We would be having 5 associated questions related to this, right? Let's move ahead. So this is part 5, listening to a discussion. Now what is special about this part is that this is going to be a video based discussion, video based conversation, but in all the rest parts, like out of 6, 5 parts are having audio based conversation, but the 5th part, that is listening to a discussion, is going to have video based conversation among this 3 people, right? So it's important to watch the video carefully. What some people do is, like when you are listening the audio, what you can do is you can just close your eyes and you can listen carefully and just try to memorize what the person is saying. But in this section you cannot do this. Why you cannot do this? Because people are generally referred by their appearance. Let's suppose the person in the red sweater, the man with specs, the person wearing red shoes, something like that, right? So this is what I want to say, that persons are basically referred by their appearance. So that's why it's really important that along with the listening part, you need to watch the video very carefully. Otherwise you are going to miss very important information, right? This is part 6, last but not the least. So in this section, we need to listen to viewpoints. What are viewpoints? Viewpoints are basically opinions of the people, right? So what is the structure? So there will be a longish report communicating, right? The persons would be there. They would be having communication on at least 2 different perspectives, right? At least means there can be at least 2, but there can be at maximum 3 or 4 as well, right? Vocab and ideas are little bit challenging since these sections are more scoring, right? So obviously we need to face more challenging in order to score well. So vocabulary and ideas are really going to be challenging, and you need to work on that for this section, right? Ideas would be restated or rephrased in options. This is also a twist, that in the options you are not going to get the same words exactly what the speaker has spoken in the audio or in the video, but you're going to get the rephrased part. So it's really very important to work on the rephrasing as well. Don't worry, we are here and we are going to work on each and everything part by part in our lecture series, right? So let's move ahead. In the next part, we are going to discuss some general tips about the listening section, right? So remember, it's very important to take notes, right? Let me explain this section to the point. I won't be reading it all, right? So what I'm saying that, see, if you're doing questions from 1 to 3, the audios are a bit short and easy, so I won't recommend you to take a lot of notes. Instead, what you can do is you can just close your eyes and listen to the conversation carefully, and then you would be easily able to answer the questions and you would be able to score well. But from part 4, 5 and 6, what happens is that, let's suppose you're having two persons or three persons communicating in 1 to 3, why we don't need to take notes? Because although it's entirely up to you, if you want to take, you can, but it is just my recommendation that from 1 to 3 part we don't need to go for that. Why? Because in those parts, man and women used to prefer to communicate with each other, right? And what the thing is that we can easily memorize the things because the audio is bit short. But what happens from 4 to 6 is that three persons are communicating, right? There is a video. So what we can do is we can put lines, we can make columns, we can write about person 1, person 2, and then person 3, so that we can memorize the things. Because without making notes in like previous, I would say in the last 3 sections, it becomes really difficult for the candidates to commemorate about to remember about the whole of the information, and which ends up like they miss their marks indications or something like that. So it's important to take notes. But yes, you won't be able to write everything when you're listening, because we human beings are not designed to do multitasks, right? So what you need to do over here is that you need to practice a lot. You can listen to the podcast, you can listen to several channels and which native speakers are speaking, or you can like start listening about the North American accent. You can listen to news items. One or two channels that I can recommend is TEDx Talks, and second is Josh Talks English, right? These two are very good channels on which people like usually narrate their stories, and these are very very interesting because these are motivational stories. And these are going to take approximately of 10 to 15 minutes of yours on everyday basis. If you would be listening to that, you would be getting a lot of information. Along with that, you would also get the motivation that would keep you going, right? So next is that for tip number 1, you need to make sure that your handwriting is fast. Obviously, if you're making notes from for part 4, 5, and 6, it's mandatory that your handwriting must be fast. We use lots of computers, right? But here we need to focus on handwriting. Time to work on that again. So yes, we need to work on handwriting and we need to take notes. Don't worry, we would be practicing a lot on that, right? In section 3, as third tip, what we have written over here is that you need to take a piece of paper. Let me explain it. That let's suppose you are sitting in the exam and you're having the habit of taking notes, and you have done it very widely. Like your first sheet that examiner has given to you is about to fill. Then let's suppose your 1.5 sheet is filled, then you should ask the examiner to give you another sheet instead of waiting that okay, let get this sheet fully fully filled, then only I'll be asking. It would waste your time, right? So this is very general thing that you need to take care of. Part 4 is all about that. We have already discussed that in part 1 to 3 we don't need to make notes because these are the things that we can remember easily. But in 4, 5, and 6 some confusions can be there. So yes, we need to work on that. We need to work on note making in that section, right? So now let's understand about fifth thing, right? What it is, that make sure that you focus on not only what's being said but also the expressions, emotions, and emphasis, right? So it is whenever we are listening something, it is very important to use our imagination, that what the speaker is trying to express and what can be the emotions, is it positive or negative, what can be the opinions, right? So try to judge the situations. And if you would start listening to those two channels which I have recommended, you would definitely start doing so, because this is really going to help you a lot, right? And in next we are saying that for part 4, don't just rely on writing down things. What is rely? This means dependent, right? Don't just rely on writing down things with words and phrases, but also draw some pictures. See, for example, if I say that they are saying that a jar is there with half of the water, then instead of writing a jar with half full of water or something like that, it is going to consume a lot of time of yours. So it's important that you should be drawing something. It should be rough, right? Not asking you to create a very good drawings and all, but just for your understanding. Next is, while the picture method can be used for parts 5 and 6 as well, right? It's very important because in 4, 5, and 6 part we need to make notes, so you can write it down quickly. You can just write the keywords. By note taking, we do not at all mean that you should be writing all the words that the speaker is saying. No, you're going to miss your whole listening in that manner. But you need to understand what the keywords are and you just need to mark that, right? Next is they are saying that part 6 is all about arguments, right? Because people are expressing opinions over here. This is all about the viewpoints. So they are going to discuss about the different viewpoints, and everything would be mentioned over there. So if you're getting some positive or negative viewpoints, what you can do by making the columns, you can like let's suppose if something is negative about a person, you can mark a tick. If something is negative, you can put a cross, right? So these are some of the things that you can follow, but yes, entirely it depends on you only, that how you want to take out the things, right? I hope you're clear with the listening part. So, all right, let's start discussion of CELPIP's reading module, and this is the second module of CELPIP, right? So, first of all, let's understand what kind of questions we are going to get in this, right? So, basically, we are going to have 4 certifications, and before that, there would be one practice task as well that we are going to get in listening and reading both, right? So in the very first type, that is part 1, that is reading correspondence, right? So what we are going to get over here is that we need to do work for reading correspondence. That means there would be a passage given, an email would be there, and we would need to solve questions on the behalf of that, right? So what is the next part over here? This is reading to apply a diagram. That means we would be given some diagrams, and what we have to do, we have to read the information related to that, and then we need to solve our questions. Don't worry, I'll be showing you each and every detail along with the questions, so that we can understand the things in better manner, right? Part 3 is reading for information. That means you would be given a lot of information, and then in the questions you need to mark correctly that what information is included in which paragraph specifically. If I talk about part 4, that is reading for viewpoints, I would say this is little bit confusing for the students, because viewpoints can confuse the students, and it can make it feel difficult for the students to understand where to find and how to find. There are a lot of strategies that we are going to cover in detail in the next lectures, right? So let us understand the main things first of all. So this is basically the score chart for CELPIP's reading, right? What you can do is you can take a screenshot for later consideration, right? This is very simple. Let's move ahead. So in this section, we are going to start discussion of CELPIP's reading questions part by part, right? So what was the very first task of our CELPIP's reading? It was reading correspondence, right? So what I want to tell you over here is that the assigned time would be 11 minutes over here. In those 11 minutes, you have to read the task as well, and you need to solve 2 subsections as well. There would be 2 subsections, and in total there would be 11 questions, right? So let's see what kind of questions would be there. I have included sample questions as well. So right, so this is our sample question. What is given over here is that an email has been written to dear Mr. Peter, and it has been written by Scarlett, right? So on the behalf of this, we need to read it, and we would be going to get these 2 sort of questions. These are the 2 types of questions that we need to solve over here. So in the first part, what they are saying is you need to use the drop down menu and choose the best option according to the information given in the message, right? So we just need to read the email carefully, and then we can derive the answers very easily, right? But what is the next subsection? Subsection 2 is, in this, Peter has written the response to the Scarlett, right? So in the first part, like in the question, letter was written by Scarlett to whom? To Mr. Peter, right? But here in the second part, what we have got is that Peter is writing back. So what we have to do is, we would be having 4 options over here, right? And 3 to 4 options over here. And what we need to do is we need to derive the exact options, right? So what is important over here is that we need to be very, very mentally attentive, and we need to use our imagination as well, that okay, what can be suitable for this and all. We would be doing a lot of reading, so you would better understand when you would be practicing practically, basically, right? So let's move ahead, and this is second type of task of reading, and this is reading to apply a diagram, and the total time assigned to this would be 9 minutes, right? There would be 1 reading plus diagrams would be there, right? And there would be some questions, 8 questions based on that. Now let me show you what kind of questions would be there. So see, in this manner, you would be given 4 diagrams along with the diagrams, we are also having some data written over here. What we have to do, we have to read it carefully, and then on the behalf of this information, what we need to do is, okay, so what is this? We need to fill this information, like these are the blanks and all. So what I need to do, like this is the very first blank, then this is second, third, fourth, fifth, right? What I need to do is I need to fill all these blanks carefully on the behalf of the given information. Now there would be a subsection as well. Now what is this? In this section we need to derive the answers. These are basically inferred sort of questions, like I need to understand, okay, so this was the story, a letter was written to Amy, and who is Amy, right? So I need to read it all carefully and I need to derive the answer, that who is she. For example, we can read this email. What is this? This email has been written to Amy, and what they are saying, that I am a teacher in all girls middle school and our school is planning to organize a trip to Disneyland. I visited your website recently and found 4 different packages to different places. Since why we are visiting her website? Because of the traveling part, right? So this is very simple, that what she can be, right? Moreover, for your help, you would also be having 3 to 4 options over here, with the help of which you can derive your answers easily. So this was all about first 2 parts of reading. First one was reading correspondence, and second is reading to apply a diagram. Now let's move ahead towards the next part of reading, and let's see what it is. Task 3 is basically reading for information, and the time assigned for this part would be 10 minutes. There would be 1 reading and you need to solve 9 questions. The main thing over here is, if you are even solving the questions before the prescribed time span, then also the time would not be carry forwarded, right? So it's very important that you need to be careful. You should be checking your answers once again, even if you complete before the given time limit, right? Don't move ahead. This is not at all going to benefit you. This is my suggestion to you, right? So this was all about the third part. Now let's understand what kind of question can be there. So alright, we have questions like this. In this section, what we need to do is we need to read the whole passage basically, and we are having 5 subsections, that is A, B, C, D and E, right? We can mark the answers A, B, C, D, and if in case we do not get the given information anywhere, then what we need to do is we can mark E easily, right? So let me show you the screen, that how the questions are going to be there for you, right? So in this part, what we are going to do is, okay, so in this way we are going to get the questions, and what we need to do is we need to solve all these questions. So this is question number 1, 2, then we have 3, 4, 5, right, 6, then we have 7, 8, 9 questions are there. What we have to do, we have to tell them which paragraph contains which information. This is what we need to do over here, right? So this is also easy part, but we just need to do it with like in little bit careful manner. So alright, this is our task 4 of the reading module, and in this section we need to read for viewpoints. The assigned time in this would be 13 minutes. We would be given 2 readings and then we need to solve 10 questions. Now let's give a look to the reading, that what we have to see do over there here. So they would be giving us an article from a website, right? So they have given us particular article, and this would be including viewpoints, that means the opinions of several persons. So what I have to do basically over here is that I need to find out the name of the persons, like this is the very first name, right? So likewise I need to find out the names here as well. He's saying something like this. Okay, now let's see what kind of questions would be there on the behalf of this. So see, first of all, there would be a drop down menu. Both are basically drop downs, right? So what we have to do, opinions are already given in the passage. What we have to do, we have to read that and choose the right option, and that's all. But in the second part, on their opinions, a comment has been done by someone else. Now we have to fill it by inference. That means we need to derive these answers on our own by are on understanding. I'm not saying that you need to use 100% imagination, but yes, I'm saying that you need to use your understanding. You need to read between the lines. That means you need to read it very, very carefully, that what basically they are willing to express over here, right? So this was all about the parts of the reading. Now let's discuss about the kind of questions. So what we have understood till now over here is that we are basically going to get three sort of questions. First one is general meaning, right? So these are the general ideas taken from the passage as a whole, and these can be in form of either paragraph, sentence, or single paragraph, right? So these kind of questions can be there. For example, the very first one, there was a paragraph and we needed to fill that, right? Second is specific information. So what you have to do, a close-up question which asks you to find information from a specific sentence. The information can be name, date, time, or fact, right? Like reading for information, part 3. In that section, what we need to do is we need to find out the paragraph, that in which section they are talking exactly about the information we need to find out, right? And then third comes the inference questions. Now what are these inference questions? See, these are the indirect questions like we discussed in part 4 and in rest of the parts as well, that we need to derive some answers on our own, which are referred to inference questions. Okay, so this was all about the types of the questions. Now let's discuss about the reading test features. See, the reading test, as it has 4 parts, this is what you already know, and the things increases in difficulty, right? So if you're getting more attempts, more right attempts from the last section, from the last half, you're going to score better, right? So this is what we need to understand in the scoring section. Let me show you once again to you. So here we have the score chart. You might be surprised to see that we are going to get 31. We are going to get 8 at 31. Then we are going to 31 at 9 as well. Then how is it possible? Let's suppose I got 31. Then are they going to allot me 8 CLB or 9 CLB? This is the question that should be there in your minds right now. But yes, as I told you, that the level of difficulty is going to increase with the each passing parts, right? So if you're getting more accurate answers from part 1 and 2, right, then you're going to get 8 CLP for 31. But let's suppose you have got more correct answers from last 2 parts, you're going to get the higher CLP, that means 9. Same is, and I would say likewise the case with 10 to 12, that means 33 and 33 over here as well, right? I hope the things are clear to you right now. This is why I didn't explain the score chart earlier, so that I can explain the things in easy manner to you. All right, so now what we are going to discuss is these all other reading test features, right? So they are going to use more complex grammar. So for CELPIP, yes, it's very, very important for us to work on grammar, or no matter the one, any one student, let's suppose there is a person who is very good in English, that doesn't mean the person is going to get a very good score in CELPIP. No, it doesn't mean. But yes, if the one is going to focus on some particular things like on complex structures and all, then obviously the one is going to get all the band score. Moreover, it's important to understand that which section is highly scoring and all, right? Nextly, there would be longer, more complex sentences. We should be able to understand that, and for this we need to understand the connectors very, very deeply, that how these can be used and what the usage can be, how the meanings can be expressed by the usage of the connectors. For this sake, we are going to form a big lecture, a detailed lecture on connectors as well, so that things can be easy for you, right? Next is increased range of words and phrases. That means we need to work on lexical resources, that are words and phrases. These are really, really, really very important, I would say. Again, emphasizing that please do work on lexical resources if you want to score well in your CELPIP exam, right? Next is more specialized, formal and uncommon vocabulary. That is what we are going to work in this lecture series as well, right? And next thing is that more abstract ideas and broader, less personal content. Obviously, this is very common that in reading we don't usually get the personal content, but the important thing is that we are going to get abstract and broader ideas on the behalf of which we need to solve inferred questions, right? Last but not the least, what they're saying that answering questions require more inference and deeper comprehension. So this is what I was suggesting you to read between the lines. That means you should be able to understand what the writer is saying. Read between the line is basically an idiom that you can use anywhere, right? So what you can have to do in this reading is you need to read the things very carefully so that you can mark all your answers correctly. Right now let's discuss some of the most important tips for solving CELPIP reading, right? So what is part 1? This is decoding the clues. That means you should be able to understand the text. This is all we mean to say over here, like favorable reviews, right? We should be able to understand the options with the help of the vocabulary, right? We need to be able to understand how to mark the keywords in everything, right? If we talk about next part, these are all general things, general tips that are going to be useful for us when we would be solving the full reading test. So that's why I have decided not to go with this right now, because these would be much more helpful for you when we would be going for the whole test, right? So without any halt, let's move towards the next module. So CELPIP reading is our next module, and let's see what is included in this part. So see, the time allotted for the writing section is 53 to 60 minutes, and number of questions would be 2 only. Very simple, right? What are the components? In task 1 we need to write an email, and in task 2 we need to respond to survey questions, right? So let's understand the next part. So see, what are the guidelines for the writing section? So these are writing test has special features in CELPIP. Why it is going to be a bit convenient and bit easy for you, because there is a function of spell check. So if you're a person who is having very bad spellings, very bad dictation, or is facing a lot of problems in writing spellings, right? So you can go for CELPIP because there is option of spell check. Second is editing function. That is but obvious that you can obviously edit the things that you have already written, and you can correct them by proofreading at the end. And next is word count would be shown to you. That is also common, but the main important feature over here is spell check, right? Then second option is that time is separately assigned for each task in CELPIP, right? So likewise the case in writing as well. In task 1 you're going to get an email in which you need to write email of 150 to 200 words in how many minutes? 27 minutes. And in task 2, while writing survey, you again need to write 150 to 200 words in how much time? 26 minutes. One more thing that you do not need to rush, right? Because time is not going to be added. There is no carry forward system of time. So this is separately assigned, 27 minutes for this and 26 minutes for this. Now what the prompt can be: in part 1 they would be providing us imaginary situation, and in part 2 they would be providing us 2 choices on the behalf of which we need to mark our answer, right? Now let's move. Since it is a dream of every student to score full out of full in every language test, so here we are going to discuss that what do you need to score CLP 12 in your CELPIP. So these are basically 4 parts on the behalf of which you are assessed in your writing part. So first one is content and coherence. What is content and coherence? Basically I want to refer that whether you have written everything, like you have managed the content that has been asked to you. So let's read. They are saying that write complex formal and informal text for a full range of purposes, intentions and objectives. That means we should be using complex, formal and informal conversation. Then develop ideas with relevant and sufficient facts, extended descriptions, details or quotations. Yes, this is very important. No matter whether it is writing or speaking, we need to explain the reasons, logical reasons I would say. Then only you're going to get good scores. Now second is vocabulary. So at this level, if you want to score 12 out of 12 in CELPIP, yes, it is possible, but you need to choose specialized, formal and common words to express my precise meaning. Uncommon words I would say, right? Third is readability. At this level, what you need to do is connect ideas and make transitions. What do I mean by making transitions is that I'm again going back to the part of connectors and lexical resources that you're going to attend after this lecture. So in readability section, we need to work on how to connect the ideas and how to bring transitions, how to work on the paragraphs, right, with very good control of very broad range of complex and diverse grammatical structures. Grammatical GRA, that means grammatical range and accuracy. By this, students usually understand that readability just means that it should be correct, the person should be, or the examiner should be able to read your text. No, obviously it should be, but along with that, one more point is over here. That is what? That is basically the range that you need to write with transitions. You need to use a lot of sentences over there, right? Now next part is task fulfillment. What it is that at this level, like if you want to get 12 in CELPIP, 12 out of 12, then you need to present information using a tone and style appropriate to the situation. Let's suppose the person is asking for something to you and you're replying with a very rude tone that is not at all appropriate. You are not going to get good scores then. So it's really very important that you need to work on CELPIP in a very good manner, right? Now thing is when. So I write for a diverse and undefined audience and the situation is formal or informal, right? So this is all about where to write formal and where to write informal. Don't worry, that we will be explaining you when we would be solving the writing tasks in detail. Let's move ahead towards the next part right now. So this is simple question task A, and here we are going to write an email, right? So this is level 12 email. First of all, let's understand the question. What they are saying is that you use the local public library several times every week. That means आप जो है local public library बहुत बार week में use करते हैं. However, the library is closed on Sundays and Mondays. लेकिन library जो है वो बंद होती है Sundays and Mondays को. You think library should be open every day. That means since you are a very frequent user of the library, so what you want that it should not be closed, right? So what I have to do now, that I need to write an email to the chief librarian in about 150 to 200 words, and your email should do the following things. That what I need to do is, they have already given us the bullet points that what I need to cover in my email. That makes my email really very easy and interesting as well, right? So first of all, you need to describe the importance of the library for you, because you can say that you can maintain any imaginary situation that you're a student or you're doing preparation for civil services or UPSC. That is what civil services is, right? So you can put any situation like this. Second, explain why the opening hours don't work for you, because you can say that I'm having classes at the time and only after the classes I need to work on my reading skills and all. And third one is suggest how people could use a library if it were open every day. कि लोग उसको कैसे use कर सकते हैं अगर ये हर रोज open होती, right? So देखिए इसमें since we are given bullet points, so it's very very important to cover the task fulfillment. We need to cover each and everything, and let's see sample of CLP 12. So what we are saying that, dear Miss Sonora, my name is Charlie Stevens. Since I have to write the letter to whom? To chief librarian. So obviously what it is going to be, what kind of situation can be there that yes, I can know the person, I can know the name of the person, but I didn't know who the person is actually. So I'll be giving my introduction firstly, because I may know the name of the person but the person doesn't know me, right? So my name is this. As a long-standing resident of the neighborhood, right, I have had an annex library card for 2 decades, right? Annex यानी किसी चीज़ के साथ that connects you with something. I truly appreciate the work that you do as a chief librarian in making it such an inclusive environment and fostering the local community. Now, as a parent of 2 children, Gary, that is 6, and Sophia is 4, it is clear to me that the library's service to the community could be enhanced if opening hours were extended to Sundays and Mondays. As you know, many families have sports activities and shopping scheduled on Saturday mornings, so Sunday is the only day on which we could all enjoy libraries, playrooms, youth groups, and creative programs. Monday is the only night on which all the members of the annex theoretical trope can practice in the auditorium, right? So these opinions are widely shared. Parents are annex kindergarten are unanimous in their desire to share a Sunday cappuccino in the downstairs coffee shop and to rehearse their lines in the auditorium on Mondays, right? So please consider opening the library 7 days a week. I hope to raise the issue at your next steering committee meeting. Warm regards, and I have written down my name. Now, what you might have noticed that the person who has sold this is I have like picked a student sample who has already got 12, right? So she has put on a lot of efforts over there, and this sample is already also available on the official website of CELPIP, right? So what you can see that the candidate has tried to use a lot of vocabulary and has done a lot of efforts as well. So this is what you also need to do if you want to score good CLB in this. So this was all about task 1, that was email. Now let's move ahead towards application task B, or task 2, that is responding to survey questions, right? So this is also going to be level 12 sample answer. So this is all about mail delivery survey. The government wants to either make people pick up their own mail at the post office or have it delivered only twice a week. यानी कि या तो लोग खुद आए लेने पोस्ट ऑफिस पे अपनी पोस्ट को, मेल्स को, या फिर वीक में दो बार जो है ट्वाइस यानी कि हो सकती है डिलीवर. दिस विल सेव द गवर्नमेंट मनी. द गवर्नमेंट इज आस्किंग योर ओपिनियन ऑफ द चेंज, सो यू हैव टू चूज द ऑप्शन दैट यू प्रेफर. व्हाई डू यू प्रेफर योर चॉइस? एक्सप्लेन द रीजंस फॉर योर चॉइस. राइट अबाउट 150 to 200 words. ऑप्शन ए इज आई प्रेफर टू गेट माई मेल एट द लोकल पोस्ट ऑफिस, कि मैं जाके खुद ही ले आऊँगी, मुझे ज़रूरत नहीं है. ठीक है. सेकेंड ऑप्शन बी, आई प्रेफर टू हैव मेल डिलीवर्ड टू माई होम ट्वाइस अ वीक. सो गवर्नमेंट इज बेसिकली आस्किंग for the opinion of the candidates, of the residents basically. Now what I would be suggesting you over here is that no matter whether you're doing writing task 1 or task 2, it's really very important to go for the brainstorming part, right? Why is it so? Because if you would be thinking, you would be able to organize your ideas, then you can make notes, not notes of everything, but you can make notes of the bullet points of the keywords that this and this I need to cover very quickly. Now you can like pause the video for some time and you can think about your opinion, what you would be doing if you would happen at this situation, right? And now what we are going to do is we are going to read the simple answer for this. Let's see. So this is the simple response for CLB 12. They are saying that there are 2 primary reasons that I prefer to pick up my mail at the local post office: security and availability. So this is saying that I'll pick it on my own, right? So as a person, what are the 2 reasons? The first one is as a person who regularly sends and receives confidential documents, security is a crucial aspect of my use of Canada Post. The standard mailbox attached to duplexes in downtown Toronto are insecure. मुझे लगता है कि वो insecure है, so I want to pick it up on my own, right? So in contrast, the postal storage in Canada Post locations and pharmacies through the city are protected from casual theft, right? So next reason, the second primary reason that I prefer to pick up my mail is that even though receiving the mail would require a short walk, it would remain available daily. In my line of work as a commissioner of oaths, 2-day delay in receiving a document can be a serious professional problem. Furthermore, a good walk never did anyone any harm, even perhaps especially in the teeth of the February winter. Finally, I would hope that should the government institute the new pick up your mail policy, they will also lengthen the hours at Canada Post locations and broaden the range of pharmacies that can serve as mail handling locations, right? So finally, this is the suggestion that you need to write, that we can say that I would hope that you would do so, right? So what we have done over here is we have given 2 reasons exactly that why it should be done, right? Now let's understand the next part. This is all about the response analysis. You can take the screenshot. We have given the complete details that why the student was given exact CLB 12 in the final examination, right? Let's read it. So content and coherence. So they are saying that writers can compare complex text for a full range of purposes. That means the person is using complex structures. It is easy for the one to like express the intentions and objectives, and both task A and task B are exhibiting very good and we can say high clarity consistently, and there is a lot of precision on the in the terms of vocabulary as well. Everything is very good. The vocabulary is quite unusual. Readability and task fulfillment is also very good. So what you can do is you can take a screenshot and you can read all these things very carefully if you also want to get CLP 12 in your CELPIP test. Let's move ahead. So here I'm going to show you another sample that what you how you can get 6. Okay, why I'm showing you this, that if any one of you is at this level, we can improve from the things, right? So at this level, what is expected in content and coherence is that at this level they say that I can write short coherent text. That means text is okay, but this is short. Then express a main idea with some supporting details. In vocabulary, we are using just common words. In readability, at this level, we have to organize related ideas into paragraphs and write with good control of simple grammar. So this is the main problem. They have used simple grammar, but if we would be using the complex one, then obviously we would be getting better band score, better CLB level, I would say, right? Same is the case with task fulfillment as well, that present information using a tone and style that are sometimes appropriate to the situation and convey some factual information about a topic, right? So we are using the tone that is sometimes appropriate, like at it means that at other times if it is inappropriate, then we are going to get 6. Okay, let's read the answer now, sample now. So this is the question. The same question has been written over here. So let's directly jump towards the answer. Okay, so let me repeat the question once again for you. So this was all about that you use the local public library several times every week. However, the library is closed on Sundays and Mondays. You think that library should be opened every day. So you have to write an email to the chief librarian in about 150 to 200 words. Your email should do the following things. What you need to do is you need to describe the importance of the library for you. Second, you need to explain why the opening hours don't work for you and suggest how people could use the library if it were open every day. Without any halt, let's move towards the simple. So this is our simple response of what? Of 6 CLB. So let's see. I believe that library is very important in our society. Library is where we find all the information that we want to see. It is important to everyone, especially for the students, to give an extra ideas and searching and learning from their assignments. Even for ordinary people, it is useful and helpful. Sometimes people will come to library to read books during the spare time, and they feel good after they read their favorite books. The library is closed every Sunday and Monday. It will not work for me. I'm a full-time employee and work in weekdays, right? And Sundays is just my spare time to visit library. I hope you will find a solution for the schedule of the opening hours of the library special during. So what I want to tell you over here is that first of all, it's really very important that if they have given us 3 bullet points, then we must make 3 BPs in order to answer each and everything. The other important thing is the person has not given the introduction in the beginning. He has not written dear dash or something like that. That doesn't depict that to whom we are writing exactly. Moreover, the sentences are very short. The vocabulary is also not that much appropriate. So if any one of you have this much simple grammar, then you need to work. Let's move ahead. This is simple question task B. In this, we need to respond to survey question. So the same question is over there, and I'm going to read the question again for you. This is saying that mail delivery survey. The government wants to either make people pick up their own mail at the post office or have it delivered only twice a week. This will save the government's money. The government is asking your opinion of the change. You have to choose the option that you prefer. Why do you prefer this choice? Explain the reasons for your choice and write about 150 to 200 words. Option A is I prefer to get my mail at the local post office, and option B is I prefer to have mail delivered to my home twice a week. Now let's read the simple answer. So I prefer to get my mail at the post office. It is useful to me to come in the post office to pick my mail. Through this, I'm giving a small amount of contribution to the government, and by doing so, I believe that government will do something in return in the society for the save money. This sentence is wrong, right? Inappropriate. So it also gives benefit. It also gives, it should be benefit to me to get my mail in the post office to keep me updated on my daily routine, and it also an extra time for me to walk, and it will be good exercise for me. In this opinion, it will help a lot to keep me updated to my mail and also to my bill payments, right? So this is what the person has written over here. So this should not be this much simple if you want to go for 12, right? So this was all about it, and again we have given the response analysis that why the person has been given 6. As you can directly see that the person is lacking in a lot of things, like the tone is not appropriate at some points, the division of paragraphs has not been done appropriately, then the vocabulary is not that much unusual. I won't even say that much, it's really very common vocabulary, right? And the person also needs to work on content and coherence, I would say, because the person needs to work on linkage and connectors and lexical resources. So all right, this was all about the writing part. I hope it was useful for you. So now we are going to start with CELPIP's speaking section. Firstly, we are going to understand the type of questions that would be there and the time allotted to this. So the total time allotted to CELPIP speaking is 15 to 20 minutes, and if we talk about the number of questions, we are going to get 8 questions in total, right? There would be one practice task as well, and now we are also going to discuss tasks from 1 to 8 in detail as well, but here let's have a quick overview. So in the very first task, what would be there is that it would be related to giving advice, and in the second one you need to talk about a personal experience, and in third one you need to describe a scene, fourth is all about making predictions, fifth is comparing and persuading, sixth is dealing with a difficult situation, seventh is expressing opinions, and eighth is describing an unusual situation. Now you might be like, there are so many sort of questions, how I am going to remember it all? You don't need to, these are just type of questions, right? So we are going to discuss each and every question in detail, right? So let's see. We are just making you aware about the sort of questions, so you don't have to get surprised in the final examination that, oh, this was the type of question that I was supposed to get. Okay, so this is the very first task of the speaking section, and this is related to giving advice, right? So in this section of giving advice, we would be getting 30 seconds to prepare and then 90 seconds to speak, right? So in total they would be showing you a question and you would be having 30 seconds to prepare in this time span, right? So what would be there is, there are always two choices and we have to choose any one. I'll be showing you the question as well, right? So it is a decision making question, so we must give logical reasons. The prompt may even require reasons or ideas on both sides. It entirely depends on the question, that what the question is asking. Then note making, yes, and time management is highly important. See, if in the speaking part and in the writing part especially, if you would be making notes, it is really going to help you to be in cohesion and coherence, and resultantly you would be scoring much more higher than the other students, right? So it's really, really important. Now let me show you the sort of task that you're going to get, and this is going to help you to understand the things better. So this is the task. In this manner you're going to get it on the screen. There would be preparation time of 30 seconds and recording would be of 90 seconds. This is part 1, giving advice. The question is, your friend is not keeping well and the doctor has suggested him to change his lifestyle. He is facing difficulty to adjust his lifestyle. Advise him on how he can improve his lifestyle and stay healthy. Now, you might be asking that do we need to remember the answers? No, not at all. These are very simple answers. They are, you just need to imagine that the someone is in real is going to ask you something and you need to answer that in factually. Okay, so what kind of advices you can give to the person? Maybe you can recommend about having healthy food or going to the gym for the exercise part or something like that, right? So that is why I was saying that it was very important to give logical reasons in this section. So this was all about our first task. Let's move ahead. So this is our second task of speaking, and in this section we have to talk about a personal experience, right? What was the time span in the very first task? Let me show you. We were given 30 seconds to prepare and then we had to speak for the 90 seconds, right? However, in the second part, what is different that we would be getting 30 seconds to prepare and then we need to speak for 60 seconds. In this task, we would get a personal situation about which we need to describe in detail, and it's very, very important to give logical reasons. See, it doesn't matter that which side you are supporting in your speaking or writing, but what it matters is really that what really matters is the thing that you should be giving logical reasons so that the examiner might understand the coherence in this and can give you the marks. Let's see the question. So here it is. We have 30 seconds for preparation and then we need to speak for the 60 seconds. The question is saying that talk about a time when you had to move places. Maybe you can talk about moving from your hometown, leaving your parents' house, moving abroad or shifting to an urban neighborhood. Why did you have to move? Was the change difficult or easy? How well did your decision turn out in the end? So this is a very long question and they have given us several choices. So what we would be doing is we can like think about any particular things. So they are saying that talk about a time when you had to move places. जब एक समय के बारे में बताना है जब आपको places पे move करना पड़ा. Maybe you can talk about moving from your hometown. जब आप अपने hometown से बाहर चले गए थे. Let's suppose you are staying in Patiala, Rajasthan, wherever, and you had to leave that place. Leaving your parents' house. Parents छोड़ना पड़ा था. अब जैसे if someone is married, you can talk about the time of your marriage. Moving abroad or shifting to an urban neighborhood, है ना, शहर में आप शिफ्ट हो गए थे. तो what you have to explain that why did you have to move, क्यों जाना पड़ा था, and was that change difficult or easy था, ये difficult था, and how well did your decision turn out in the end, like क्या decision आपका कैसा रहा, अच्छा रहा, बुरा रहा. This is what you need to explain. Let's move towards the next part of CELPIP speaking. So in this section we have to describe a scene, right? We would again be getting 30 seconds to prepare and then we need to speak on 60 seconds. Describing a scene, as the name refers, that you would be getting a picture in front of you and you need to speak accordingly, right? So this is what we are seeing over here as well, that a picture is shown in this task and we need to describe it in a way that the item shown could form a picture in the listener's mind, right? We have to suppose that we have to explain the things in literal details, that so that the person who is listening to us can understand the things in really very good manner. Then we have to start with an overview of the picture, right? Like we would be given a picture, then we can start with the overview of the picture and how we are going to make the ideas, that we need to cover 5 W's. Now what are these 5 W's? These are who, what, when, where and why. This is what you're going to cover. Then if there would be a picture, what you can use prepositions like above, behind, beside, etc., right? Then include key details like size, color, expression, and then it is also very important to conclude your task, and present continuous tenses preferred to be used over here. Since we are looking at a picture that is going on, so it's important to use the present continuous tense. Let me show you an example. So this is the example in which we need to describe some things that are happening in the picture below as well as you can. The person with whom you are speaking cannot see the picture and we need to describe it in very good manner. Now, task 4. This is all about making predictions. In this section as well, we are going to get 30 seconds to prepare and then we need to speak for the next 60 seconds. Picture will be same as task 3 and in this task we have to predict what will happen next. Use facts as well as imagination, right? because if we are saying something, we can use facts, like there is day, we can say there would be evening time after the afterwards. Future tense is used. Why future tense? Because we are making predictions. Then what you predict is not always as important as why we think it is. This is what I was telling you earlier as well. Like predictions can be anything. If I'm giving the same picture to 10 persons, then 10 students can explain it in different manner. That is completely okay, doesn't matter. But it's really very important to explain the logical reasons that why is it so. Right, so this was all about our predictions task, and this is the same picture that was earlier in third task. Let's discuss task 5. This is all about comparing and persuading. That means compare karna, and persuade, that means to convince someone, manana kisi ko. So we would be having 60 seconds to prepare, and then you need to speak for 60 seconds. Okay, the task is divided into two parts. In first task, how it is divided into two parts, that I'm going to explain with the help of this picture. Let's see. So all right, first of all, you would be getting this section. Okay, what you have to do, your family is basically wants to buy a printer, and you found two suitable printers, two suitable options. Using the pictures and information below, choose the option that you prefer. In this next section, you will need to persuade your family that your choice is a better choice, right? So these are the two printers. What you have to do, specifications would also be given in written, right? So what you have to do, you have to choose any one within this. Then in the next section, you would be having like 60 seconds to prepare and 60 to speak them. Then in next, what you would see, that your father is suggesting another printer. What you have to do, let's suppose I'm going with this printer, or I'm going with this printer. You can click on any one that would be shown over here as my choice, your choice, and this is my father's choice. Specifications are always here. What I have to do in this task is I need to compare and I need to persuade my father that why my choice is better. I need to convince the other person, and the conversation would be with friend or relative, right? So this was all about our task 5. Let's move ahead, and this is our task 6. Okay, what we are going to do over here is that we need to deal with a difficult situation, right? So in this, we would be getting 60 seconds to prepare, and then we need to speak for 60 seconds. This would be a situational question in which we have to choose between two difficult choices. Don't worry, I'll be showing you. You have to justify the choice. The most important thing is you should always be polite and persuasive. Persuasive means you should be in the tone so that the other person can get convinced, but in polite, not in rude manner. So this is the question, right? So 60 seconds to prepare and then 60 seconds to speak. What the question is, that you have to attend your son's graduation ceremony this weekend, but on the same day, your company is holding an event to celebrate annual day where you will be honored for your achievements, right? There are two aspects. Number one, your son's graduation ceremony, and number two, annual event of your company where you would be honored. So you have to choose any one. Either you have to talk to your son and explain why it is not possible for you to attend the ceremony, or talk to your boss, explain why it is not possible for you to attend the office event. So what you have to do is, doesn't matter, you have to make your choice. Okay, doesn't matter which choice you are making, but you should be having sufficient and logical reasons. Let's move ahead, and this is our 7th task, and in this section we need to express our opinions, right? So in this section as well, we are going to get 30 seconds to prepare, and then we need to speak for next 90 seconds. There would be a social issue and we need to state our opinion, and we have to support that with logical reasons. Let's see the question type. So here it is. In expressing opinion, 30 seconds to prepare and then 90 seconds to speak. The question is, do you think? Basically what they're asking our opinion. So physical education should be an essential component of the school curriculum. So do you think? If yes, why? If no, why? Right. Let's move ahead. So this is our task 8, and in this section what we have to do is we have to describe an unusual situation. In this we would be getting 30 seconds to prepare, and then we need to speak for 60 seconds. See, don't try to remember all these time spans and all the times for preparation and for speaking. With the passage of time, when you would be practicing, you would be able to get it all in your mind, right? So in this task what you have to do is we have to give a vivid description. Vivid refers to clear description of something to a person who is not present. So the listener should be able to form a picture of the object in his mind in the same way you are able to see it. We have to suppose that we are able to see a thing, but the other person is unable to see that. So we have to call the person and we have to explain what the thing is all about. I have given an example as well. There can be unusual situations, unusual choices, right? So what it is that while you were shopping at a furniture shop, you came across a weird but attractive chandelier, right? You think your friend would be interested in buying it, but the shop owner won't let you click its photo. So what you need to do is you need to provide a clear and full description of this and ask your friend whether whether your friend would like to buy it. Now why it is different, you can see that it is made of bones, right? Usually chandeliers are used to light up our houses, right? जिसको हम हिंदी में what we can झूमर we can say, right? And this is made up of bones, so this is different. There are skulls we can see, right? And all these things we can go like there would be unusual situations like this that we need to describe. Okay, now let's move ahead. We are done with all the tasks of speaking with this. Now we are going to understand the level descriptors of level 12, that how to get 12. See, there are again 4 parts on the basis of which we are going to be assessed, right? First one is content and coherence, then we have vocabulary, listenability, task fulfillment, and when to do is this is what we can read on our own, right? So what is content and coherence? So if you want to get 12 out of 12 in your CELPIP, so at this level what you have to do is you need to communicate in demanding known routine situations for a full range of purposes, intentions and objectives, present information and develop ideas with complex, clear and precise descriptions or details. That means you should be communicating in English basically so that you can connect your ideas. There should be full range of purposes, sufficient reasons. Okay, next is vocabulary. So this should be very broad range of vocabulary of concrete and abstract language, and you need to use broad range of figure of speech and idioms as well for this. Next is listenability. So you should be speaking in a very broad manner, very broad range of complex and diverse grammatical structures. Speak intelligibly with fluent rhythm, pronunciation and intonations. Now what are intonations? These are tone of speaking. Sometimes we have to speak slow, sometimes but with like louder or something like that. So we have to act as per the situations, right? Next is task fulfillment. So in this, adapt my language to the situation, my desired purposes and my relationship to the listeners. Let's suppose if I'm talking to my relatives, then it would be in respectful manner, while if I'm talking to one of my friends, then the conversation can be in informal manners. This is what the tone is that we need to keep in our mind. Then when I speak with peers or authoritative figures, I speak face to face, online or on the phone, the situation is formal or informal. These can be the kind of situations can be. Now we also have a simple for you that how a level 12 can be achieved. What is the task? Your friend has just graduated with a business degree and has been offered a job overseas. Although the job would be an excellent opportunity, she is not sure about moving so far away from her friends and family. So what you have to do? You have to give her advice. Then कौन से टाइप में आ जाता है? This comes under task 1, giving advice, right? On what she should consider when making her decision. That means what we are saying that कि आपके friend ने जो है graduate हो चुके हैं with a business degree and she has been offered a job overseas. It's an excellent opportunity, seriously, but she's not sure about moving. Why? Because she has to go away from her friends and family. So you have to give your advice to her. Now let's listen to the simple answer, and then you would be able to understand that how we need to respond to the questions.
Hi, Johan. So I heard that you got a job overseas in China, but I know that you are a little bit concerned because it's really far from here, and also you'll be away from your friends and family a lot. But after thinking about a few things, I would like to give you an advice based on why you should take this opportunity. First of all, it's a really good paying job. You probably would not be able to get a salary like this here in Canada. So it would be best if you take this job. Also, since it's a higher paying job, you would be able to take care of your family more because I know that your dad has some health issues and I know that he's not being able to take care of himself. So because of that, you would be able to take care of your parents more. Also, I know that your job is providing you one free ticket. It's a return ticket back and forth once a year. So you would always be able to come and visit your family. And when you're visiting your family, you'd always be able to visit your friends. And I would never mind visiting you in China because I really want to see that place. And I'm pretty sure every once in a while I'd be able to come and visit you there too. We can always chat on Skype online. That way you won't have to feel so lonely. Overall, I think it's a perfect opportunity.
Right. So what we can see over here is that the person has spoken in a really coherent manner. There are a lot of supporting reasons and vocabulary as well, right? So let's see. What is simple response task B? So they are saying that you saw an interesting chair at a furniture fair. Okay. Your friend Madel collects interesting furniture, so you have to call Madel and describe in detail what this chair looks like and ask her if she would consider buying it for her home office. Now, what kind of question it is? This is task 8. And what is that? Describe an unusual situation. You have seen this furniture and your friend is fond of this. You have to call your friend and you have to explain what kind of furniture it is. So let's listen.
Hi Maddie, I'm just at a furniture fair and I'm looking at this chair and I had to ring you to tell you about it. I know you're really interested in collecting interesting furniture and this is very interesting. Let me describe it. So it's curved, it's blue, there's a light on the top of it which kind of winds around to focus in on where you would be sitting in the center of the chair. It's also got a curved arm table coming out of it with a cup holder, and we know you like to drink your tea and coffee when you're reading your books, so that's important and convenient to have. Also, I should note that on the back of the chair there's a switch to control the reading light above your head. So if you fancy to snooze, as you tend to do when you're reading, you could just turn off the light and drift off. You might want to be careful though, because there is no sides to the seat. If you did fall asleep, you would probably fall off the chair.
So right, these all are the responses that we have picked from CELPIP's official site, right? So this is what you need to do if you want to score a perfect band, perfect CLB of 12 in your speaking part. Now, let's see the further part. Here we are going to give a look to what if how you would be speaking if someone is getting level 6 score. Okay, at this, in content and coherence, I'll be able to support my opinions and feelings with reasons, and I would be able to relate factual information. Vocabulary would be very common. In listenability, speak with control of simple grammatical structures, not complex, just simple. Usually speak with understandable rhythm, pronunciation and intonation. That means for 6 as well, you should be having a very perfect grammatical structure, although it is simple, but should be correct, accurate. Some would speak with some self-corrections, repetitions or inappropriate poses. So these kind of things can be there. At this level, I can adjust my speaking style suit to some familiar situations, convey accurate information to others when I speak. At this level, I speak face to face online or on the phone, and the situation is casual or somewhat formal, right? So now let's listen to a next response, that what kind of answer would be. Same situation is there, that your friend has been graduated and got a job overseas. Although the job would be an excellent opportunity, she's not sure about moving away from her friends and family members. You have to give her advice on what she should consider when making this decision, right? So let's listen to the sample answer.
Okay, my friend, if you have a plan to go overseas and work there, so don't hesitate to grab it, because if you like to have a good uh, a good family, or if you have a if you like to have a good standard family living, you will grab that opportunity for your for the future of your families and for the future of your children. Don't don't uh, don't wait this opportunity to uh, to go away from you, because this opportunity is for your for the future and the betterment of your family. Because if you go overseas, you gain more money for your family, and make a lot of sacrifices, and that is for your future family to overcome poverty in life, just like you are here right now. So grab it, that opportunity for your
Alright, so what we have seen, that there were a lot of pauses, the person was lacking ideas, although the grammar was correct, but still there were noticeable pauses, right? And the intonations were not at all there, like the person was speaking in a constant tone, like he or she is unable to think and has to answer any question. Now let's move ahead towards the next question as well. So same for nature, we have to describe to Medi. Let's listen to the sample answer.
Hey Maddie, I found this interesting collection of furniture. This is a chair and designed in blue, and the structure is looking so different, like we get to see in the movies. This has a headlight, and you have a coffee holder to hold the coffee, and it gives a good back support and an adjustable seat, and it is circular. I see a circular cushion seat where you can sit and relax and enjoy music, and you can also read books. This structure is the design is so interesting, like no one ever had, and this is the first time I am seeing this kind of design. The coffee holder stand also.
Right. So what the problems over here are, that there are a lot of poses, although less than the previous one, but still this task is going to get 6 only. Why? Because there were no intonations, the girl didn't conclude the task, right? There were noticeable poses, but along with that the ideas were also not in coherent terms. So right, these all are the problems that we have to face over here. If you are struggling with such issues, please start practicing. This is not at all an impossible task. We can do it, but with little bit of practice, right? So thank you so much for this. We have completed all the basics of the CELPIP test.